All right, everybody, it's time for another Dark Man episode, but I'd like to clear a few things up. First of all, I do not use AI to write. I don't even use Grammarly or any aid like that. I just write it, okay? I only use AI to create illustrations, and that's what they are. They're just illustrations. And there's going to have to be two versions of this because this one got pretty bloody and violent. So I'm going to have to censor a bunch of stuff. And there'll be two versions. I don't know what when I'll be able to, or how I'll be able to, you know, show off the uncut version. Maybe I'll have a Patreon someday and I'll be able to do that. But YouTube will probably remove this video if I do not censor it. So there'll be two versions. What you'll probably see is a very blurry, yeah, blurry bits. It'll have blurry bits in it.
The Dark Man, Episode 3, Heart of Fire. Are we born to darkness or born to light? The age-old question. Humans are born with a loathing for the dark. Our eyes cannot stare into the abyss. But darkness isn't evil. To creatures of the night, it is the light that brings horrors. Just as people who do dark deeds fear most the exposure of the light of day. His name is Frank Loomis. To evil, he is known as the Dark Man. He walks in creeping shadows to drag evil into the light, to punish the wicked, to tear the wretched evil from the soul and drag it to where it belongs, to the gray realm, where old gods still live, where aborted terrors lurk in shadows so dark even the most sensitive eyes of the night creatures can't see. Through their own darkness, the wicked's crimes always come to light. It was September 12th, 1921, Istanbul, Turkey. Rose and the Dark Man's conversation with Mother Azra of Stone has taken a turn. Inside the secret citadel of the Stone Sisters, hidden from the modern world beneath buildings and cobblestones, the great citadel echoes of a dark past. In Mother Azra's study, a confrontation leads to its crescendo. I am done playing with you, demon. Mother Azra was filled with rage. As am I, the Dark Man said. Mother Azra of Stone, you stand accused of heresy. Speak your truth. How dare you? How do you answer? I am Mother Superior Azra of Stone. My eyes, the Dark Man leaned forward and slammed his open hand on the desk, causing the two women to jump. Not that truth, the other one. Mother Azra almost pulled the trigger. There is no other truth. Fine. It's the hard way then, he said, sinking back into the wingback chair. Rose was torn. Frank, don't you dare rip her mind. I don't need to. My name is Frank Loomis of the Mines of Madness. I am the Dark Man. As warden of the Grey Realm and ally to the First God, I command you, who is cursed, to speak your truth. Mother Azra brought her free hand up to her temple like she was trying to hold something inside. No, I am Azra of Stone, and I bear the dark gift. Mother Azra fell back down into her chair in disbelief. What followed was a moment of silence in which the Dark Man smiled. Typically, it was Rose that was the first to speak. Whoa, what just happened? Mother Azra looked at the Dark Man, eyes full of loathing. You bastard, she said with a wavering voice. Frank spoke more calmly again. Hierarchy. Those with the gift instinctively fear me, as they do each other so long as there is a disparity between gifts. As such, a natural and frustrating involuntary hierarchy asserts itself. The Dark Man stands at the top of this hierarchy as the one with the strongest of dark gifts. I can compel those beneath me. So she had to answer whether she wanted to or not? Even if it meant her death, said the Dark Man. Now it means yours, Frank Loomis, Mother Azra said coldly as she pulled the trigger. The gunshot rang out through the labyrinthine corridors of the great Temple Lagos. The Dark Man didn't move a muscle. And now you try to silence the truth? For the Order of Stone, the dark gifts are forbidden. Who taught you to use yours? He said, narrowing his eyes. Mother Azra looked at the revolver in confusion. But how? She looked back at the dark man, and her rage once again overflowed. She raised the revolver again, and Rose put her fingers in her ears. She fired 5 more shots in rapid succession. The dark man smirked. It's almost insulting that you'd think I'd be this easy to kill. How are you still smugly smiling? She asked. Rose pulled her fingers out of her ears. Save your eardrums and your ammo, Mother Azra. You might as well be firing blanks. This happens all the time. I have the tinnitus to prove it. Bullets seem to disappear around him. See, look, no holes in him or the back of the chair. And you say there is no such thing as magic, Dark Man, she said, pulling a handful of bullets out of the drawer in her desk without taking her eyes off the man in front of her. The Dark Man replied, No magic, only me. Quicker than lightning, Frank Loomis leapt to his feet, causing the chair behind him to fly backwards and crash into the floor. Before Mother Azra could even blink, he slapped the revolver out of her hand, sending it across the room. The startled Mother Azra stumbled backwards, landing in her chair clumsily. Bastard, she cried. Frank leaned over and put his hands on her desk, his eyes glowing softly with anger. Regardless of the outcome, I do not like being shot at. Why are you so determined to hide your misdeeds? Who is your master? Mother Azra blinked in disbelief. I taught myself, she blurted out. Lies! Yelled the dark man, slamming a fist on the desk. Mother Azra looked to Rose for support, but Rose just crossed her arms. It's true. I learned it from a book. All the books on the Dark Gift were lost in the fall of the Golden City. The dark man leaned even closer. The intimidation was working. It's in this room. I can prove it, she said, instinctively trying to push herself further back into her chair, despite her hopes of defiance. The dark man pulled back from the desk and stood up properly. He closed his eyes and exhaled. My gifts still feel foggy, but if I just focus, he said, raising a hand and turning towards a bookcase on the wall. Ah, here it is. It calls to me. A single book slid off the shelf beside Rose and floated into Frank's outstretched hand. The dark man opened his eyes and stared in disbelief at the tome he held in his hand. A Guide to the Dark Arts by M.R. Tenebris? Where did you find this? I know this book, and there were very few copies. It came from the great library of Axiom, heart of learning in the Golden City. What in the 4 realms is it doing here? It must have been something forgotten by time, Mother Azra said. There is a hidden library in this fortress. At the bottom of the Lagos stone, there is a hidden door on the wall. I came across it while doing an initial survey after taking possession of the temple again. I opened it by reading a very peculiar inscription out loud. The inscription was in a tongue I'd never seen before, but somehow understood. I spoke the words as if in a trance. The words were, I call to the light. Frank stared at her suspiciously. You're describing something written in the dark tongue. What does that mean? Asked Rose. Frank was still suspicious as he explained. Just as I compelled her to speak her truth. The dark tongue compels the dark-minded to speak. Sometimes it can even awaken the gift in a dark-minded individual. Mother Azra continued. After I spoke, a small alcove appeared and the writing was gone. All the books in there had turned to dust. All except this one. Another permanent book? Asked Rose. Indeed, Frank replied, his suspicion unwavering. I cannot help what had awoken me, Mother Azra said. Frank righted his chair and sat back down. Convenient. You still doubt me? Mother Azra asked, offended. I doubt everything about this situation. I have many questions. I suppose you won't grant me access to that alcove, and I know you won't let me read your mind without a protracted and painful fight, Frank said, relaxing a little. Mother Azra practically spat her response. I'm no fool. You are still my enemy. Frank raised an eyebrow. Ah, but I am a sworn enemy of your enemy. I will stop at nothing to drag the outsider before the first god to receive his punishment. Mother Azra shook her head. What does that mean to me? Rose uncrossed her arms and took a step forward. I think we can help, Mother. The Ifrit, the murders, and even this book. My gut tells me these are all machinations of the outsider. We are merely following his breadcrumbs, the dark man mused. Yeah, straight into a trap, Rose said. No doubt, acknowledged Frank. Mother Azra scoffed in disbelief. You want us to work together? What can you offer me that my sisters cannot? Frank smiled. My gifts, of course. may be guidance for developing your own gifts. It is more rare than you understand to have more than one of the great gifts. Rose cleared her throat. And Rose's dogged pursuit of the truth, of course, Frank noted. Her gifts are substantial on their own. Rose cracked her knuckles. Oh, if I find the bastard who did all this, I'll happily drag him to the gray realm myself. He deserves worse than death. Mother Ezra looked at Rose. And what will you do about me, Rose? Shouldn't you report me to the council? Using dark magic is heresy. Only stone magic is permitted in our order. Rose shrugged. No such thing as magic. If there is no magic, then how do you explain all this madness? Mother Ezra asked. Frank replied, just because you can't understand a thing does not make it magic. Mother Ezra turned back to Frank. And how will your gifts help the Order of Stone, Dark Man? It is true that I have the dark gift now, but I cannot divine the location of the beast that desecrated my temple. I cannot even feel its presence. I felt you coming days before you arrived here. Something in my bones told me. It was like hearing a great distant drum. The dark man continued to stare intently at Mother Ezra. Your gift is like that of a toddler. You barely know how to walk. I have spent more time than you know developing my gifts. And they are gifts. Being dark-minded is no sin. Using your gifts is no heresy in my eyes. It is the same as a hand. You can reach out in friendship, or you can make a fist to strike out against your enemies. I can feel the Ifrit out there. I can't tell where, but I will be drawn to him. My every action brings me closer. There's another presence in this city. It too is wrapped in darkness. It hides. It fears. It hates. That is no doubt the host of the jinn. Once I grasp the mind of one and hold it in my hand, there will be no escape. This city is filled with filth and darkness. How can you see past all the evil that is spread through a city? When I cast my mind about, it is all around me, said Mother Ezra. Our gifts attract us to those who commit evil. But the greater the evil, the stronger the pull. In time, you will grow to discern one mind from another. Mother Ezra picked up one of her 38 caliber bullets that she dropped on her desk. She stared at it between her fingers and thought. I may not have your gifts, but there is one truth that all of us pledged to Stone knows. The dark man lies. He will deceive you for his goals. The dark man glamours the weak-minded into destroying themselves, Mother said in an accusing tone. The dark man was quick to reply. And what of your hatred? You speak of glamours and lies. I can feel your seething anger. It oozes into this room. What are your lies? I am a stranger. You judge me on the deeds of men whose bones are but dust. Twice you have tried to kill me, yet I have not lashed out against you. I could kill you in an instant, but I don't. This is me being nice. Pray you do not earn my wrath. Frank tossed the book he held back onto Mother Ezra's desk. Study this book well. Your gift left unchecked could bring ruin to all you hold dear. There was a knock on the door. Mother Ezra calmly said, Enter. The heavy wooden door opened, its old hinge groaning with the effort. A petite young woman poked her head in. Mother Ezra sighed. Sister Harmony, I thought I said I did not wish to be disturbed, no matter what you heard coming from this room. Sister Harmony bowed her head and said, My apologies, Mother Superior, but something is happening in the city. Rose perked up. What's the scuttlebutt? Sister Harmony looked confused. Scuttle? I don't... You should just come see for yourselves. Let us go to the tower so we can survey the situation, Mother Ezra said. Frank's face was lined with frustration as he said, Fine, this debate wasn't bearing any fruit. For now, I will abstain from aggravating you and your sisters. In fact, do what you want. Be the leader you claim to be. I will judge what to do about you after I observe your actions. Rose rolled her eyes. Fine, whatever. I think there's more important things than arguing right now. Come on. Let's see what all the commotion is about before I knock both your heads together. Begrudgingly, our trio left the study and walked through the dimly lit medieval halls of sandstone and wood. Mother Ezra led them across the fortress to a large wooden door. Up a narrow set of stairs they climbed to reach the turret tower, the only part of the temple that can be seen from outside the secret citadel. Shrill police whistles echoed through the ancient city of Istanbul. Police? What's made them so riled up? Rose asked. Mother Azra pointed. Look, the glowing off in the distance. More fire? Is that our gin? Rose asked. Frank closed his eyes for a moment and then said upon opening them, I don't think so. It slumbers still. Something else burns. Just then the mournful sound of horns and bells could be heard coming from the harbor. Now what? As more horns bellowed and whined, Mother Azra said, a storm must be blowing in from the sea. From the multitude of signals, it must be already impacting navigation. It is a bad time to be at sea. You can hear them all the way up the Golden Horn and on the confluence as well. Do you think the two are related? Asked Rose. Mother Azra looked at Frank in an accusing way. Since you showed up, nothing has been a coincidence. Don't look at me like that, Mistress Azra. I'm not the one starting fires. In fact, I'm the one trying to put them out, Frank said. We shall see, Dark Man. We must rally the sisters and meet this head on, Mother Azra said as she turned to head back down the stairs. In an ample stable attached to one of the few passages in the temple that led directly to the streets, horses neighed and whinnied in nervous excitement. The smell of fresh hay permeated the air as a large set of double wooden doors opened. Our trio, followed by several other sisters, marched in. Mother Azra began barking orders as horses were quickly saddled and readied. Mount up, sisters. We take to the streets, rallied Mother Azra. The sisters quickly obeyed. Rose grabbed a saddle and smiled at it. Oh, good. You still have my old saddle in here. I can never stand those European ones. Mother Azra spoke with surprising tenderness. My child, it has always been my hope that you would follow in my footsteps, to be a leader, and maybe someday journey here to take my place. Rose smiled sheepishly. Mother Azra, I do miss the days when we would argue over dusty manuscripts and drink wine. Maybe after this ordeal is over, you can stay a while in Istanbul. I have some new books from the London house. They chronicle some of the feats that the sisters accomplished in the shadows of the Second Crusade. While the Stone brothers were off fighting the ridiculous war, the English sisters had many deeds forgotten to history, Mother Azra said as she mounted a brown mare. Maybe this time we can have a few beers instead. Wine gives me headaches lately, Rose proposed. Mother Ezra smiled in an almost sad way. Very well. I shall have my wine, and you may have your beer, daughter. Frank interjected. Am I invited? I love a good book club. Mother Ezra's warmth vanished like a northern wind on an autumn night. You can find yourself a horse. I trust at least you know how to ride. Frank furrowed his brow and looked across the selection of horses. Ride? Yes, I can. But I must have a suitable mount. And I have no idea how to attach a bridle and saddle. Mother Azra mocked from her mount. Are our humble mounts not good enough for the Dark Man? Or are you simply embarrassed that you cannot ride? I wasn't raised with livestock. Automobiles were ubiquitous where I came from. But I have learned how to ride since I now live in the Dark Ages. It's just... Rose smiled. Horses hate him. Hate? Asked Mother Azra. Last time he tried to ride one, it ran him clean out of Paris and didn't stop until it was 10 miles outside the city, Rose said, chuckling. I laughed so hard when I found him covered in mud, dismounted, and trying to charm the horse out of a pond where it stood in the shallow water defiantly. Mother Azra laughed as well. So that is why the fearsome dark man stands timidly in the doorway to the stables. The other sisters giggled as well. Frank stood in the doorway, eyeing the horses with unease. As you ladies saddle up, I must be careful not to spook your mounts. Mother Azra chided. Can't you use your gifts to calm or dominate these simple beasts' minds? Frank replied, I can charm many a beast, but horses' minds are wild and terrified. If your gifts were stronger, you would have the same trouble. He's good with donkeys. They like him, Rose said helpfully. There is one in the mill, but it is unfit for riding. All it can do is turn the millstone, said Mother Azra. We have an old mule. Would that work for you, heretic? Sister Harmony teased. Frank couldn't help but laugh himself. I shall make do. Mules only half hate me. Or it could half love you, heretic, Harmony said with a chuckle. Frank rolled his eyes. God save me from the humors of nuns and their horses. The mule is out in the pasture. I'll bring him, offered Sister Harmony. Thank you, Sister Harmony, said Frank. Oh, and just so you know, it's a girl. Sister Harmony stopped in confusion. Excuse me? Frank smiled warmly. Your child. It's a girl. The sister looked around in confusion. But I'm not. I don't. Darkman, have you no decency? Leave the child alone, Mother Azra said defensively. She has nothing to fear from me. Harmony, your husband already knows it's a girl. You don't have to hide it, and I don't have to read your mind. Your thoughts hang in the air for anyone to see. I can feel your love for the child. It is like the spring sun, gentle and warm. Even heretics know of love. You are pure of heart. The child is blessed to have you as its mother. Sister Harmony turned red. Thank you, heretic. I'll go fetch pickles for you. Excuse me. Aw, you made her blush, said Rose. Pickles? Frank asked. Rose said, I'm guessing that's the mule. Frank nodded slightly. Right. Mother Azra stared down at Frank with daggers in her eyes again. You are here merely as an observer, Dark Man. Do not forget your place. The Dark Man looked back up at her and said, Oh, I know mine. Do you know yours? Oh, for shit's sake, would you two give it a rest? Rose said in exacerbation from atop her tan mount. Sister Harmony reappeared from around the corner outside the stable. Heretic? I mean, Dark Man. This is Pickles, she said, not making eye contact. Frank stepped out of the doorway and said, You can call me Frank if you like, my dear. Let's see this steed. The gray mule looked around and stomped his foot. Good, Pickles, come here. Let's have a look at you, Frank said softly. The mule fidgeted and grunted nervously. Frank continued to speak in a soothing tone. There's a good boy. Look how handsome you are. Why, is your coat silver? You're a lucky mule. The mule lifted his head and gently pushed against Frank. Sister Harmony smiled. I think he likes you. Frank smiled at Sister Harmony. Thank you, sister, for bridling him for me, he said as he mounted Pickles. Mother Azra called out to rally her troops. Follow me, sisters! The gathering of Stone Sisters rode out into the night, heading to where the glow in the darkening night sky could be seen. As they rode, the smell of smoke filled the air while iron horseshoes occasionally sparked off the cobblestones. When their party grew closer, they could see the mounted policemen dash ahead at full gallop. Mother Azra spurred her horse to catch up. Down through the streets they rode towards the Golden Horn, the great waterway that leads from the Bosphorus into the heart of the city. As they turned a corner, they could see a burning warehouse, and in the street in front, a ghastly sight. They stopped the horses immediately, and the beasts cried out at the fearful sight of fire. Whoa, Rose said as she steadied her gray stallion. Mother Azra cursed. By the sacred stone! The sisters gasped in horror, and one could be heard gagging, coughing, and retching. Foul indeed, said the dark man. 3 stone sisters in blood-stained robes were chained to great carved stones. They were posed and bound to these stones in a macabre tableau. Rose was justifiably angry. What sick fuck could do this? Who would mount these sisters' burnt bodies, tied to stone columns? God, that one is twisted around to where her hips are facing the opposite way as her head. Their chests are split open. Oh, that one's legs are bound behind her head. And, she said, looking at the second one, and looking at the third, she almost couldn't articulate her disgust. That one's head. Is it? The dark man looked on in quiet fury as he said, They tied their hands together so she could hold her own head. Mother Azra looked upon the grisly triptych in disbelief. This can't be. These bodies. Desecrated. I can't believe. Frank snapped at her. Can't believe what? That someone would kill Stone Sisters? Or that they would be humiliated, hanging like criminals in bloody robes of the order, dressed after death, their charred breasts exposed. The one who did this wanted to hurt someone. Probably you. Mother Azra shook her head. This is impossible. 3 sisters? And why are they here of all places? Some sick fuck staged all this, Rose replied. Think, Mother Azra. Who would want to hurt you? Think hard. Someone out there needs to be stopped. A low rumble of approaching thunder was followed by another distant cluster of foghorns in the harbor. A bell in the distance was approaching quickly. The fire is a dramatic touch. I can't feel whoever said it. I feel no malevolent presence here. Only the shock and fear of this company, Frank said, considering the scene. An old-fashioned horse-drawn fire truck charged down the cobblestones and past the company. Ah, here comes the fire brigade, said Mother Azra. They don't seem to be interested in the murders. Look, they passed us. The firemen stopped in front of the warehouse and began to shout to one another. As the primitive horse-drawn fire wagon began to douse the flames, a handsome policeman with a smart mustache trotted up on his horse, flanked by two other officers. They don't need to worry about the murders. I will. What are your sisters doing here? He asked. Mother Azra turned her horse that she could face him. Inspector Badir, members of our order have been disappearing. We were hoping to learn more when we heard the commotion in the city. Inspector Badir stroked his mustache thoughtfully. And why have you not contacted us police about these missing persons? Mother Azra feigned respect. It was an internal matter. The sisters that went missing were from other countries until last night. Inspector Badir looked at the gathering of stone sisters. This is not a matter for women who lock themselves away from the world. This is a matter for men who work in the world. Rose leaned forward on her horse and asked, Who the fuck is this ass clown? Mother Azra replied, Chief Inspector of the Istanbul Police Force. Inspector Badir looked at Rose angrily. What did you call me, young lady? Without hesitation, he motioned to his fellow officers. You two, arrest her! Two police officers began to flank Rose's mount on their horses. Rose looked at the two men trying to get behind her as she angrily asked, Arrest me? What the hell for? Indecency and verbally assaulting an officer, the inspector said. Rose's hands started slowly moving towards her holster. Oh, you want to see some assault? Calm yourself, Rose, Mother Azra said, chastising her. Inspector, I will take responsibility for this child's offenses. She is merely overcome with anger over this scene. These were her friends. Friends or not, you cannot speak to me in such a vulgar manner, the inspector lectured. Rose glared back and he continued, Your vulgarity is not permitted. However, I will overlook this. Reverend Mother, due to our special relationship, you better tell us everything you know about these murders. That is, unless you want me to arrest you all. Rose whispered under her breath, I'll speak to an asshole how I want. What did you say? Snapped the inspector. Rose plastered a fake smile on her face and said, These stone pillars look Roman, not Byzantine, Inspector. At least the first two do. The third is made of both. The upside-down head is Janus, but the pillar is much newer. They seem to be covered in some kind of moss or algae. What do you think, Frank? Frank? Rose looked around, but Frank had disappeared. Where is he? Mother Azra asked in alarm. Sisters, who saw the dark man last? The sisters murmured and looked at each other in bewilderment. Rose spoke up. Relax, he does this all the time. Is that so? He just abandons you to possible danger? Azra asked. I am the Stone Rose. I can handle myself, and he knows it, she said defensively. Mother Azra looked down at her children again. And I suppose none of you saw him leave. He took Pickles with him wherever he went, said Sister Harmony helpfully. Rose took up the slack on her reins. He probably got a lead. It'll be easy to catch up with him. I always seem to manage to end up in the same spot as him. A mighty flash streaked across the sky, followed by a sharp thunder. The horses whinnied and moved nervously under their riders. And how do you expect to end up wherever he disappeared to? Asked Mother Azra. Rose looked upon the stones erected in the square. Pillars. They are water damaged, Roman mixed with Byzantine with a splash of Greek, not blackened by years of coal chimneys in a big city. So, it's underground and wet. Catacombs or sewers. Plus, these are made up of both concrete and marble. The capitals don't match. It's a hodgepodge. Someone built something underground using leftover parts from older cities. Inspector Badir was out of patience. Mother Azra, you and your rude apprentice will come with us now. We have many questions. Horse hockey, said Rose. We don't have time for this. We need to catch up to Frank. Sister Harmony spoke up. I'll come too. Mother Azra looked at Sister Harmony. No, child, you need not be involved, she said. Sister Harmony pointed to one of the three dead women and said, I know the third body. It's Sister Ivy. I recognized her. They burned her, but not her wooden leg. See, the foot is made of dark carved wood. You can see it protruding from her robes. Rose whistled. Well, I'll be damned. Nice catch. Mother Azra looked in disbelief. The beekeeper? Yes, Harmony said. The inspector slapped his riding crop against his hand with a loud pop, trying to get control of the situation. I'm done humoring your childish ramblings. Come with us, now, he demanded. 5 more officers entered the square with guns drawn. Now that all my men are here, I must insist, he said. Rose looked around. Ah, hell. Heck. I mean, fuck. Never mind. Mother Ezra sighed. Mr. Badir, may I have a word in private? We can speak at the station, Badir replied. Mother Ezra slumped in her saddle and spoke in a submissive tone. I'm an old woman. I shall dismount. I am too weak to ride any more today. Please, the fire is almost out. My daughters will not resist. I only need to speak to you for a moment alone. It's important. A confession that I can only give before you take us away. Look, there's a little cafe. We can sit down inside and I can rest my bones before we ride willingly to the station. The owners have fled, but they have left the lights on. Please, good inspector, I have lost 3 daughters. It is a modest request. Inspector Badir relaxed a little. Very well. We shall talk. Men, hold fast and keep these women from doing something they would regret. Mother Azra dismounted and smiled. I knew you were a gentleman at heart. Rose's mouth hung open in confusion as the inspector dismounted as well. This way, then, Badir said, motioning to the abandoned cafe. Badir opened the door for Mother Azra, who was playing the part of a helpless old woman. Bells on doors chimed as they passed through and seated themselves at a table by the window. Inspector Badir adjusted his seat. Okay, then. What is it you wanted to tell me? He asked. Mother Azra smiled slightly out of the corner of her mouth. I must confess. Inspector Badir laughed mockingly. I suppose you're going to tell me that you killed those girls. Mother Azra looked up directly into the inspector's hazel eyes. Oh, I know who did. But first, in a lower menacing tone, she said, I must confess, I know your sins. Inspector Badir flared with anger. Excuse me? Mother Azra had him in her hand. It's written on your soul. I know about your son. I know why you had him sent away. Inspector Badir turned his head away, but found he couldn't break eye contact with the sly old woman. What is it you profess to know? He asked, feigning ignorance. Mother Azra smiled fully. I know a juicy secret. It torments you. It fills you with hate. Inspector Badir clenched his fist with his hand on the table. You would dare try and blackmail me? I've heard enough. I'll arrest you and all your so-called daughters, and then we'll see who has the upper hand. Mother Azra continued to push. Your face is turning red with anger. Good. I could see more of your secrets. They fill your mind. Don't stand. You have a heart condition. Can't you feel it pounding in your ears? The inspector looked confused. I have no heart. He stopped and grabbed his chest. I can't move. Mother Azra was practically beaming. It was not often she could flex her dark gift. Your son and his lover, she said. I know everything. Oh, don't be mistaken. I'm not judging. I don't care if a man lies with another man. My morals are older and more lenient on such matters. But you had the lover murdered, thrown off a roof for your son to see. You made him watch. The inspector could barely breathe, but his hate flowed like an open wound. Witch! I'll have you in chains! I'll kill you! Mother Azra coolly continued. There is more to your hatred. When you caught your wife crying over what you made your son endure, you beat her relentlessly. Your eyes filled with red, and your rage was more than you could stop. And she was pregnant. Slander! Badir sputtered. I will not be blackmailed. Oh, how you cried when she lost your child. But you only shed tears after you learned it had been a boy. A spare heir, for your other boy will never further your line with his proclivities. The inspector finally broke eye contact, not out of willpower, but because he slumped over and pressed his head against the table. Please, no more. I beg you, he begged as his heart screamed. Mother Azra leaned forward and whispered in his ear, "We're almost done. And when we are, my girls will all be free to leave without a word." "I promise. Just please stop," came the wavering voice of the inspector. "Just one more secret, and then I'll give my own confession. Relax. Your heart rate is slowing. You'll be able to stand again soon." Inspector Badir pleaded, I, I, "I'll let you all go." Inspector Badir slowly began to sit up and looked at Mother Azra. Mother Azra sat back in her chair as well and stared into his glassy eyes as she spoke in a more commanding tone. "Your daughter, the one who's barely blossomed. Your wife can bear no more children. The miscarriage necessitated a hysterectomy, so you took your own daughter into your bed. You plan on passing off the child you made as your wife's." The inspector's eyes were welling up with tears. "I had to. I must have a son. I must have a son. I must strengthen my family. I deserve to be happy. You're lucky the heretic isn't here. I shall grant you mercy. I will look away. I'm no judge. I will not condemn you to hell. Your hell is in your own making." "Ah, but I promised I'd confess, didn't I?" Mother Azra said, looking out at the grisly scene in the street. "I don't care what you've done," Badir said, sniffling. "I'll also look the other way." Mother Azra stoked a quiet rage and said, "I am infuriated with this gross display, that my daughters have been disgraced so, and I will have my revenge. It was I who put a knife to their throats. It was I who killed my daughters. It was supposed to be a small sacrifice so others may live, but the man who burned them and desecrated their bodies, I will have his head." Inspector Badir looked at her in fear and confusion. "What? But why?" Mother Azra looked back at the small man in front of her. "I have confessed. Can you truly say that my sins are worse than yours? I sacrificed for family and love, just as you thought you did." The inspector said nothing. "Speechless? Very well. After my daughters leave, you will give the dead a proper new burial. There will be no investigation, no interrogation, and no more wasted time. You may stand again." Inspector Badir stood involuntarily and let out a sigh of relief. His chest still ached a little, but the palpitations of his heart had passed. Mother Azra stood as well. "Now, I believe we have to attend to our followers outside," she said. Inspector Badir nodded. "Of course, whatever you want." Mother Azra looked at him with disgust. "Oh, stop sounding like a kicked dog. You're the chief inspector. Gather your dignity, or your men may question your motives too much. Straighten your tie." "Yes, Mother," he said, gathering himself. Outside, a fog had rolled in. It gave an eerie glow to the scene as the remaining orange flames lit the street. Black smoke mixed with the fog, giving it an ashen hue. As Mother Azra and the inspector re-emerged, tiny droplets of rain began to fall. Inspector Badir had reined his composure. "Men, stand down," he ordered. The other officers looked at each other with puzzled looks on their faces. "These ladies are free to go. They had nothing to do with the spectacle. You two men, take these poor victims down. Take them to the funeral home on the hill. Mother, I do believe this concludes our business," said Badir with a curt nod. Thunder rumbled far away over the Golden Horn, and the rain picked up a bit. Mother Azra bowed once again, playing the tired old woman. "Thank you for your understanding, Chief Inspector." Rose looked to Azra and then to the inspector. "What the hell did you say to him? He looks like he's seen a ghost. In fact," she turned to look at her old mentor with new eyes, "I've seen that look on a man's face a few times before." Mother Azra only looked forward. "We have come to an agreement. We are free to chase the Dark Man." Rose temporarily put aside the matter. "So where to? Some underground palace?" "This city was created with massive cisterns below ground," Mother Azra answered. "Every few decades, there is an effort to repair or repurpose these underground areas. Most have been lost to time, and some even connect to the catacombs. It is there that the stone pillars came from." Rose slapped her knee and said, "Damn! Frank probably took one look at those stones and knew where to look for the Ifrit. That's why he vanished." Mother Azra gathered up the reins to her horse. "If he thinks he can leave us behind, he will be sorely disappointed. I know where the entrance the archaeologists used last when they explored the underground. But halt a moment before we charge ahead. I'm glad the Dark Man allowed us a moment alone. You see, he's been keeping a secret from you. The Dark Man is nothing but secrets. So what? Rose said as she turned her horse. This secret is different. It's about your father, Mother Ezra said. Rose looked confused. My daddy? Frank always said he rescued me from him. What more do I need to know? Your father was dragged to the Grey Realm by the Dark Man, said Mother Ezra. Rose shrugged. I'm hardly surprised. He tends to do that to bad people. You don't care? Why? Mother Ezra asked in surprise. You know, I do care. It even pisses me off a little. But I can get him to spill that story later, Rose replied. Mother Ezra knew Rose better than to push the subject. If you take away nothing from all this, know you cannot trust that man. How long before a secret kills you? Rose brushed the subject away. We are wasting time. Sooner or later, he and I are going to have a long talk about things. I've earned as much. But right now, we are wasting fucking time. Mother Ezra sighed. If you insist. Now quickly, towards Hagia Sophia. The Basilica Cistern lies nearby. Rose looked up at the sky, squinting at the drizzle that was increasing in strength. Have you noticed it's raining? Personally, I prefer not to be inside an underground water tank. The cisterns are vast. We still have much time before they become dangerous, Mother Ezra said, and then spoke to the other sisters to rally their forces. Now ride like the devil is at your heels, sisters. The whole group moved their horses as one uphill towards Hagia Sophia. The sharp sounds of horseshoes on the winding road were accented by thunder as the rain poured down heavier, becoming a deluge. At a point between the warehouse fire and the iconic mosque, Frank Loomis dismounted his steed in a dark, filthy alleyway. Rain was carrying trash and dirt downhill as he looked around. The rain fell upon his furrowed brow. What does he feel? What has brought him to this spot? Frank attempted to tie the reins of his borrowed mule to a burnt-out street lamp. Ooh, Pickles. There we go. Sorry to leave you out in a storm. Just come a little closer. Let me tie you up. Frank spoke in soothing tones to the mule. A massive clap of thunder caused Pickles to rear up and bray in fear. The reins slipped through Frank's hands and Pickles panicked. The braying echoed through the city streets as the mule shot off into the night. Damn, I hope he knows his way home, the Dark Man said. He looked around the street, concentrating his gifts to lead him towards his prey. Now, let's see, he spoke softly to himself. I can feel the darkness beneath me. I feel a mind, thoughts running around in circles, images chasing each other to avoid the moment, to avoid. He trailed off and opened his eyes. Now, how can I get below this street? He asked himself. He tapped his cane around, listening to it clack off the cobblestones. After a few seconds, he heard the distinct sound of metal under his cane. He bent down and squinted in the darkness. He pulled at the scraps of light from the nearby lamps and focused the light through his own eyes, creating an eerie glow that shone through the puddles to reveal the way below. Ah, a manhole cover, he said, trying to get the iron circle to dislodge from his place in the street. It was massive, and its edges gave his fingers no room for purchase. The Dark Man stood up and reached his hand out over the manhole cover. There was a grating sound as the iron lid rotated and floated up into the air. Water rushed in, and the Dark Man gestured to gently set the manhole cover down a foot or so away from the access hole. Frank smiled to himself. Perfect. Down we go. He stepped into the manhole and dropped down, ignoring the ladder. He pushed with his mind a moment before hitting the bottom of the tall drain pipe, cushioning his fall with a gentle telekinetic push. Despite taking no impact, his knee shot a warning to his brain, reminding him it was foolish to ignore gravity. He summoned light from somewhere else again to illuminate the tunnel around him. It was made of brick and mortar, unlike modern sewage tunnels built from solid concrete. The Byzantine sewers were ancient compared to the plumbing of most other cities. Ah, this is going to be a soggy affair, he said to himself, his soft voice echoing through the tunnels. Oh well, the storm cannot be stopped. I do hope Rose doesn't venture below. In the place where the sewers transformed into the start of catacombs, a figure sat in the darkness. He sheltered a tiny flickering flame with his body as water ran down the tunnels beside the small alcove in which he sat. Almud's voice was ragged, like it had been damaged. It sounded guttural and strange. Despite this, he spoke to the flame lovingly. Drip drop, drip drop. Shh, shh, it's okay. Oh, it's okay. I won't drown. Mother said that even if it floods, I'll be safe here, up on a hill, under the ground, wet, wet, but we burn still. Mother will help us. Mother knows things, how to heal and how to burn. Mother will come. Mother was sad, sad to leave us in the dark, sad to leave me alone again. But you're here. Your fire will keep me company, not alone anymore. Rest so you can spark again, so you can speak again. I want to hear another story. Tell me about the times before man. Tell me about the old wars. Tell me your stories. I love you. Has any human ever loved you as I do? When the other Afrit are free, you won't have to cry anymore. I want to see you burn bright. I love you, Asareth. The flame in his palm grew a little stronger. His ears picked up an unusual sound. Something was making a tapping noise. It echoed down the tunnel, and Almud strained to decipher its direction. He looked out of the small ossuary chamber and into the tunnel. A faint light was growing stronger and approaching him. Is light coming from down the tunnel? Our little light wouldn't reach the far side of this great aqueduct. Is it more fire? It's getting brighter, he muttered to the flame. The voice of the dark man filled the tunnel. The light searches for you. I can feel you hiding. Almud turned and sat facing the tunnel. Who's that? He called out. The dark man replied, A man accustomed to shadows. The dark can't hide you. Stay away, Almud warned. We will burn anyone that wishes us harm. Suddenly, light filled everything with blinding radiance. Light! My eyes! Almud cried out, covering his eyes with his free hand. The dark man stood in the center of the blinding ball of illumination, looking at the small burial chamber. Almud was a short, dusky man with dark hair, dark eyes, and an almost almond color to his skin. At least his skin was almond colored where it was still intact. All over his body, his skin had been twisted and marred by pink-healed burns. One of his eyes was partially covered with skin, and his free hand was missing two fingers. I see you, Almud, said the dark man. Oh, and look at the Afrit asleep in your arms like a baby. I'm touched. Partners in murder and mayhem. You leave Asareth alone, the young man said. Please, the light hurts. Does it hurt worse than the stone sisters your beloved demon burned? Worse than the ones that lay in ashes as we speak? The dark man said, the anger apparent in his voice. Almud stood up, putting his bare feet into the cold water of the tomb. They deserved it. They always have. They stand in the way. They keep her brothers and sisters trapped for over 1,000 years, trapped in stone, rotting away in pain. Ah, so you know. Let me turn down the light so you may see me, the dark man said as the light dissipated to a more comfortable level. You know the true purpose of the Logos Stone, don't you? Almond waved his free hand, still blind from before. I can't see, he said. Oh, but I can, came the voice of the dark man. Deserved it, you say? Who do you mean? Your parents, because they sent you overseas for an education? Almond squinted as his eyes came back into focus. She was not my mother. Imposter. Fooled father. She sent me to England. So cold, so wet, England. Where my skin was a curse. Where my accent made the other boys beat me with bars of soap and socks. I burned them all because they were cruel. Because they deserved it. So, you're the victim. How many children lay in the cold earth because of your victimhood? Maybe once a victim, but now you're much more, the dark man said, pulling the images from deep in Almud's mind and pushing them to the surface. Almud didn't realize that his mind was being steered towards his sins. The young man continued his defiance. Father would have helped me. The father died in a whorehouse. Couldn't even be true to my fake mother. Stabbed in the back, just like me. And the fake mother remarried. So you became a monster to destroy a monster? Your stepfather only locked you in the cellar because you came at him with a fireplace poker, the dark man's voice taking an even sterner edge. But the fire you lit burned more than one house. Almost Ragged's voice grew louder. Couldn't help it. I picked up a new accent in the north. He hated it. Called me half-breed. And so everyone had to burn? Your rage tells me you became the monster long ago before anyone locked you in a cellar. Mother saved me. Mother tried to help. They locked me up. Mother warned them that I would burn them all. Alma's voice grew more strained by the second. The dark man smiled. Ah, the last piece fits into place. So the mother stayed the hands of the authorities. I could see her face as she convinced the doctors to put you in an asylum instead of a jail. Such a familiar face. And when you did burn down the asylum, she found you on the brink of death, a burned and broken thing. Almud loosened his shirt to show off more burns on his chest. The fire cleansed my soul. I was one with the fire, and it was joy. And was it your mother who grafted in a freak to your soul? The dark man asked, a being who was as close to death as you were. So we might heal each other. And Asarif taught me love, not just the love of the fire, love beyond flesh. Almud looked at the faint flame in adoration. So here you sit in another basement, another cell, another hole to hide in, your flesh twisted and scarred like a mirror of your soul. You think the darkness protects you? Dark man asked, standing in the ever-growing river around his feet. Does it keep prying eyes from your twisted nature? Almud's stance changed. He bristled with intent. I can see you now, Almud said, filling his heart with violence. You're just a man, and all men burn like tinder before Asarif. The Efreet let out a long, low growl as it tried to summon its power. The dark man ignored this threat. She is too weak to burn with so much water filling this tunnel. Besides, do these look like the eyes of an ordinary man? The dark man's eyes exploded with light, causing Almud to stagger backwards. Almud tried to shield his eyes unsuccessfully. Ah, not again! They're like the sun, even when I look away. The dark man pulled his sword from the scabbard in his walking cane. Almud curled into a ball in the corner of the tomb. A familiar feminine voice echoed from around the corner of the vast drainage pipe. It grew louder and was joined by other voices calling out over the sound of water. The dark man smiled. Ah, and so come the other hunters. Do they know there is a wolf amongst the sheep? Rose's voice rang out above the others as the dark man stood with his sword at his side. Ruining my best fucking boots! I swear if I have to throw these out, I'm making Frank take me back to Italy to replace them. The dark man suppressed a laugh. Oof. Well, one wolf, 4 sheep, and a bulldog. He decreased the light pouring from his eyes to a more comfortable level again. Rose's keen ears picked up the voice of the dark man. Did you hear that? Mother Azra's voice joined Rose. Our sisters. Follow the voices, she said. Almud chuckled. Mother is coming. Mother will kill you. Then there will be darkness and fire again. The dark man turned his focus back on his prey and said, Well, let's make sure they know the way then. Almud stood up, but before he could take a step against the figure in front of him, the dark man flashed out of sight for a moment, crossing the distance to Almud instantly, plunging his blade deep into the arsonist's shoulder. Almud screamed, Ow! What have you done? Oh, my shoulder is stabbing me. The Efreet roared in rage in an unearthly tone, making the walls vibrate. What the hell was that? Rose cried out. It came from this way, rallied Mother Azra. The group appeared around a bend in the tunnel, holding burning torches above their heads. They saw the dark man standing with both hands on his cane, the sword sheathed again. Almud cried out from the ossuary chamber, Mother, help me! Mother Azra looked at Frank Loomis, the naked anger across her face. Dark man, this quarry is mine! The dark man laughed like rolling thunder. Truer words have never been spoken. We must take him back to the temple, interrogate him, Learn about the Jinn, Mother Azra demanded of the dark man. He belongs to me. I will not let you have him. The dark man looked at Mother Azra with new eyes filled with new context and replied, It's far too late for that. He confessed and now has been marked. His fate belongs to the Grey Realm now. Stay the hell away from him, Azra yelled as a final warning. Rose stepped back, shaking her head. She knew what was coming next, and she knew to let it happen. She merely shook her head and said, God damn it, how do you always get to them first? Sneaking off and saving the good part for yourself. Sisters, raise your torches up high in advance of the dark man. He can't hide from us, Mother Azra commanded. The dark man looked at the stone sisters and spoke without moving his mouth. You call these flickering bundles light? His voice danced around in the darkness. I could be behind you, or to your left, or maybe 2 steps in front of you. His visage disappeared into the shadows. Or I could be standing right behind you. The stone sisters waved their torches around and drew their revolvers in fear, all except Rose and Sister Harmony. The dark man whispered to Rose and Sister Harmony, Close your eyes. Rose immediately covered her eyes with the crook of her arm. Damn it, I hate this trick, she said. The tunnel burst with blinding light again. Everyone except for Rose recoiled and tried vainly to close their eyes. Mother Azra instinctively began to pull on the abundant illumination with her dark gift, but there was too much of it. Still, it allowed her to sense the dark man. There you are! I can feel you! Step away from the boy! This trick cannot stop me! The dark man spoke from all around her. A trick? It's just my eyes looking upon a twisted old woman, as twisted in soul as her son is in body. I have no son, Azra refuted. Did you hear that, Almud? She has abandoned you again, taunted the dark man. Almud called out to Mother Azra, I'm here! This demon hurt me! Mother? Hold on a second. Have we been chasing your son this whole time? Rose asked in disbelief. Mother Azra tried to keep her troops on task. Don't let the dark man confuse us, sisters. That man is an enemy of every stone warden. Rose stood calmly with her eyes closed. He's not my enemy. You can't deceive my eyes, Mother, Rose said as she addressed the dark man by name. Frank? The dark man's voice ceased to flit around the room and settled on his actual position between the sisters and Almud. Yes, Rose? Do you mind explaining? Rose asked. The dark man answered, All in good time, Rose. First, this arsonist has a date with the deep. Mother Azra screamed, No, better he be dead than fall into your hands. On your knees. Kazahama Rektush, may the stone seal be upon you. The stones in the walls cracked and shook free of their mortar. Not again, said the dark man. The whole tunnel collapsed atop the dark man. The noise was deafening and the dust filled the air. The bright light coming from the dark man was extinguished. Mother Azra called out, Hold tight, sisters! Stand firm and you shall be spared! Rose coughed in the wet, debris-filled air. Jesus on a Ferris wheel! What the hell did you just do? I called down the vengeance of the stones upon him, and the arsonist, Azra said, standing tall with torch in hand. I don't believe it. Do you say something like that will kill him? Rose said in disbelief. Weep not for the dark man, for a dark grave is all he deserves, Mother Azra said coldly with detachment. Sister Harmony spoke up. Look, the street above. Yes, Sister Harmony, Mother Azra said. Let us climb to the surface and head back to our temple. Justice has been satisfied. Rose put her hand on Mother Azra's shoulder. Wait, what the hell was all that about a son? Mother Azra pushed her hand away. Not now! I refuse to wait around in filth a moment longer. Rose grabbed her shoulder this time more firmly. Oh, no. I want answers. Now. Mother Azra's green eyes flashed with anger as she looked at Rose. Unhand me! I am still your superior. You will do as you're told. Rose wasn't intimidated. She grabbed Mother Azra by both shoulders now and turned her. Rose towered over Mother Azra. How about I squeeze the truth from you right here, right now, Rose said as she gripped Mother Azra's shoulders just tightly enough to make her point. 4 stone sisters, including Sister Harmony, raised their revolvers and pointed them at Rose. If she won't release me, then you have my permission to shoot, Mother Azra said. Rose glared at Mother Azra without so much as a blinking. 5-on-1? I still like my odds. It was Sister Harmony that had tried to appeal with reason. Please, Rose, I'm sure the Mother Superior has a good explanation. Let's go back to the temple and sort this out like sisters. Rose's face softened. Mother Azra was still trying to escalate the situation out of her frustration and rage. I will count to 10, and then Rose interrupted. No need for counting, she said as she released Mother Azra. You've grown too close to the Dark Man. I will forgive your outburst this time. Now, to return to the temple, Azra said to chastise Rose. The sisters moved towards the pile of rubble so they could climb back up to the soggy streets. Dark fog swirled and surrounded Almud. Momentary flashes of movement teased at the corners of his vision. He heard strange noises and calls all around him like predators in a dark forest. Where am I? Mother? Asarif? He whispered with hope that he didn't alert the strange things in the dark. Asarif is here, but so am I, spoke the dark man, unafraid of the creatures hearing his words. What is this place? Asked Almud, afraid to look up at the dark man for fear something might jump out of the fog. Long ago, the majority of all the jinn on earth were brought here, the dark man explained. They have since become savage demigods in this deathless place. I'm sure your Ifrit hears them. They do not welcome her. She is hiding silently inside you, hoping your flimsy body will protect her from the others. Almud put his hand on his chest. Asarif, let me hear your voice. The dark man answered instead. It dares not speak. There are horrors beyond your imagination out there, for both of you. What horrors? Where am I? This is the Grey Realm, a prison with no locks and no doors. It is a place many twisted men and other mindless creatures live. Let me provide a little illumination. What appeared to Alma to be a giant spotlight came from behind him where the dark man stood. Something with the skin of an elephant on human arms for legs recoiled back into the fog before Almud could make out its full form. Other creatures could be briefly glanced, causing the atmospheric mist to stir like smoke in the wind. In fact, the very mist seemed to recoil from the light itself, like it was alive as well. Hints of withered trees and rocks seemed to be growing out of the bare soil all around. The dark man retracted his light and the fog closed in again. No, no, what are those things? Almud asked. Why, those are your new friends. They've come to greet you. They will lash and burn and destroy everything you are, the dark man said in a haunting voice. No, the arsonist cried in disbelief. The Ifrit hissed as a warning to the creatures. Stay away. She rose up out of her host's body and began to try and take a fiery form. Much smaller than in the temple, it stood the size of a child, wrapping its arms around Alamud. The fog recoiled at the Ifrit's flame, and creatures with thundering footsteps ran from the jinn. Alamud stood up and laughed triumphantly. See, they fear our fire. The dark man shook his head. That was a mistake. In the distance, there was a single sound like a massive, mournful moan. Flashes of fire and dashes of lightning could be seen in the distance approaching. Almud's eyes went wide. What's that light over there? The dark man simply said, They come. The Ifrit tried to summon more power, but only barely increased in brightness. Its voice deepened and said, Stay away. I no longer answer to you. Many great gatherings of light rumbled through the fog. Vortexes of yellow, blue, and fiery orange swirled above, causing the fog to part and dissipate. Gaseous faces formed and disappeared as the multitude of jinn looked down from the air. Alamud looked at them and back upon the dimly flickering body of his beloved Asarif. No! Stay away from her! There is nothing I can do, said the dark man. Her fate was sealed the moment I laid eyes on you. Hands of fire, hands of lightning, and hands of wind lashed out and grabbed pieces of Asarif's fire as she desperately tried to shelter Almud. Why are the other jinn hurting her? Cried Almud in fear. The denizens of the Grey Realm are changed by this place. No one is immune, not even an immortal. Almud stood up and reached his hands to the sky. Take me instead. Oh, something else comes for you, Almud. You have your own sins to atone for, said the dark man. Asarif screamed in pain, being pulled and torn apart from 100 directions. The swirling fury pulled her away and up as her light disappeared and dissipated with theirs, as her screams could be heard trailing off in the distance. No! Howled Almud. Cry for yourself, murderer, for hungry hands come for you. The dark man said as what looked like an elephant's trunk snaked out of the darkness and paused before the arsonist's eyes. Rather than its wrinkled gray skin being dry like that of a true elephant, it was dripping with mucus. What looked like a hand formed from the pliant flesh at the tip of the appendage. As Almud stared in horror, it struck quicker than the eye could follow. The appendage grabbed the arsonist by the arm. There was a hissing sound, and a chemical smoke began to rise from Almud's flesh everywhere the mucus touched. These aren't hands, Almud said as he tried to free himself. Help me! He turned to plead to the dark man, but the dark man was gone. No! Let go of me! No! He screamed as the beast pulled him violently off into the endless expanse of the gray realm until his voice disappeared in the vastness, doomed to his fate. The Stone sisters wearily filed into the horse stable out of the pouring rain, wet and worn out. The tension between Mother Azra and Rose was palpable. Sister Harmony tried to lighten the mood. I saw Pickles eating the garden roses as we came in the gate, she said. I'm glad he made it back safely. Rose turned to Mother Azra, still simmering with rage. Yeah, unlike Frank. Mother Azra stopped at the stable door, not wanting to look at Rose's accusing stare, and said, I had no choice. The dark man meant to open a portal to the other side. My duty was clear. What more are you hiding, old woman? Rose said, seething. Mother Ezra spun around with her own anger. Never have you spoken to me with such contempt. And you've never killed a friend of mine until tonight, Rose shot back. He was not your friend. He was your enemy. Stow your horse, said Rose. We will talk in private later. For now, rest in... Sister Harmony interrupted. Mother Superior. What is it, child? Ezra said with more of an edge than she intended. Sister Harmony pointed to the hay near the door. Look, blood. A lot of blood, said Rose. There was indeed enough blood to have come from several people just inside the stable doors, sticking to the many strands of hay. Sisters, be ready. Our battle may not be over with, Mother Ezra said. The women unslung their rifles from their shoulders, and Rose drew her pistol. Rose strode through the door first. Okay, girls, follow me. I'm tired of being led around by the nose. They all entered the temple, and once through the door they could see the hallway leading in either direction. By the stone! Exclaimed Sister Harmony. 5 bodies lay in a pile, their weapons broken, their bodies contorted and bent in unnatural ways. The fresh blood pooled beneath the pile, flowing slightly downhill towards the stables. Those were the sisters I left to guard this entrance, said Mother Azra. How can you tell? They've been ripped apart, asked Rose. I know because I know, said Mother Azra. It was then Rose noticed Mother Azra's demeanor had changed. Before she had been filled with righteous indignation, but now she seemed genuinely shocked. Her eyes were wide, and for the first time ever, she saw something in Mother Azra she had never seen in her mentor before. Fear. What could have done this? Asked Sister Harmony. You could see the shock moving through the sisters. Earlier they had seen twisted, almost unrecognizable murders, but something about these fresh kills with their eyes still staring in horror shook them all to the core. Only Rose still stood unwavering. Isn't it obvious? Mother Azra said emotionlessly. The dark man lives. This is his vengeance. Rose knew better. Pointlessly murdering innocents? That doesn't sound like Frank. Who else could do this? Who else would do this? Mother Azra asked weakly. Follow the body, said Rose. They will tell us. Keep your head on a swivel. If this was Frank, your weapons will be useless. Anything else? Fill them full of holes and sort it out later. Follow me. Holding her 1911 at the ready, Rose led the Stone sisters deeper inside. As they went, they stepped over body after body. A cold rage filled Rose, replacing the white-hot anger of before. If this was the dark man, she had to be ready to kill her friend. Down deeper into the labyrinthine passages they went. By now, they all knew where these bloody breadcrumbs were leading them. Wordlessly, they continued down until they stood before the great iron doors that guarded the great Lagos stone. The great doors were still closed as they stood in a group at the bottom of the stairs. In front of the door, a great pile of bodies lay. Each one seemed subjected to a different horror. Flesh was rendered from bone, and bone was split like wood. Whatever it is must be after the Lagos stone. How do we open these doors? Asked Rose. Mother Azra seemed to awake from a trance. Allow me. I suppose you refuse to avert your eyes as I use my skills to open the door. The method is a closely guarded secret. Didn't Frank just snap his fingers? Asked Rose. Do not remind me, Rose, Mother Azra said. I know not what he did, but I shall open the door as one is meant to. It is a method known only to... Before Mother Azra could say another word, the sound of the mechanisms in the doors began to turn and clank as the doors opened, swinging outwards by themselves. The sisters aimed their weapons as they watched the huge doors swing slowly open. For a moment, no one dared take a step. Of course, it was Rose that made the first move, yet again. She briskly moved and placed her back against the edge of the entrance, and then motioned for the other girls to take position. She looked inside quickly and then pulled back. There was no obvious enemy. She rounded the corner and swept the massive room with her pistols. The other sisters took up position and tried to cover every corner of the room. The inside was shrouded in darkness. The usual torches and lamps were quenched. Only the light from outside the room trickled in. Was that you that opened the door? Rose asked Mother Azra. Not me. Someone else, she replied. An unfamiliar man's voice that sounded amplified and almost artificial echoed through the vast Lagos chamber and spoke. Someone else indeed, it said, echoing off the walls. Who's there? Asked Rose, searching the darkness for movement. Someone who likes to watch, in a manner of speaking, came the deep, resonant voice from inside. She glanced at Mother Azra and was shocked to see her trembling. Rose turned back to the cavernous space. You the butcher who killed all these girls? Rose asked. I suppose you could say that, replied the voice. The Order of Stone Sisters has no concept of hospitality. I merely asked to see the stone. They said it would be over their dead bodies. I simply abided by their wishes. Now don't stand outside in the messy antechamber. Come on in. I've been rather excited to make your acquaintance, Stone Rose. The doors began to move again, swinging closed behind them. They had no choice but to enter the chamber. Sister Harmony whispered, I think we just walked into a trap. Not a trap, said the voice with an air of amusement. Simply an introduction. Rose knew when someone was playing a sick game. She had no patience for the voice's antics. Where are you, shithead? I'm going to put a bullet in you for every stone sister you killed, she said, trying to pinpoint the source of the voice. Oh, but there are so many dead. Do you have enough ammunition? I doubt it, he said, almost laughing in a superior tone. Why don't you show yourself and we can find out, replied Rose. Quite right, said the voice. What's an introduction in the dark? Perhaps we can scare away the old ghosts that haunt this room with a little light. Somewhere an amplified snap of the fingers sounded like a gunshot. It caused everyone but Rose to jump a little. In the great sanctum of the Lagos stone, torches and lights all burst to life at once. In the chamber, bathed in the light of the torches and lamps it contained, there was a single man. He was tall and stocky, wearing an expensive-looking gray suit with a pocket watch. He had a bit of a potbelly, but for his height it seemed natural. His full gray hair was combed and slicked back. His face was handsome, with a chiseled jaw and bright blue eyes. He stood atop the edge of the Lagos stone nearest the door, looking down upon the survivors of the Lagos temple, with his hands in his pockets. Rose didn't hesitate at all. The moment she saw the man standing 2 stories above her, she fired all 8 shots from her 1911, dropped the empty mag, and slammed another one in to replace it. The action slammed shut, ready to spit fire again. No way did I miss, motherfucker. I saw the bullets hit the wall behind you, but only behind you, Rose said, more out of analysis than disbelief. The strange man laughed and clapped like he was watching an amusing play. Stone Rose, he said with genuine joy spread across his face. You don't disappoint at all. I can see why Frankie likes having you around. You are Tenacious, I'll give you that. How the hell do you know Frank? Rose asked, keeping her weapon trained on the man. Haven't figured it out yet, the man taunted. Why don't you ask the Reverend Mother? Rose glanced back at Mother Azra for a brief moment and saw her face was pale and she was shaking. Rose tried to get through to her. Mother Azra! Mother Azra! Mother Azra spoke in disbelief. No, no, you can't be here. Mother, Rose called again. Snap out of it! I have a gut feeling that if I take my eye off this bastard, he could end us as quickly as he snapped on those lights. I've felt murderous intent before, but nothing like this. This man is dangerous. You promised you'd leave after you had what you needed, Mother Azra said pleadingly. And what makes you think I have everything I need? Asked the man. I need so very much from this world. Besides, I made another promise to you. Mother, who is this man? Rose asked. The man leaned over the edge to better see Mother Azra. I don't think she's in a forthcoming mood. More of a shaking terror kind of state. Sister Harmony took Azra's hand. Mother, are you okay? Why are you trembling? Mother, we need answers or orders. Just say something, shouted Rose. If you want answers, you can always ask me, my dear. I have tons of answers to a lot of things. Let me introduce myself, said the man, beaming at those below him. He reached out a hand, and a simple wooden chair floated through the air and came to rest behind him. He sat down, crossing one leg over the other, still smiling brightly. My name is Philip Augustus Barrowman, he said with pride, citizen of the Golden City, destroyer of the Golden City, reject of the Abyss, the true heir to the legacy of the Dark Man, and among many other deeds entitled, I'd like to add a new one, Bane to the Order of Stone. Realization clicked in Rose's mind. You're the goddamn outsider, she said with hate and recognition. This seemed to finally get Mother Azra's attention. The outsider? The one the Dark Man warned us about? Impossible. This man helped me with Thomas the Heretic. He taught me things. He's a scholar. In a pig's eye, Rose said unflinchingly. He just told you what he is. Mother Azra looked genuinely baffled. But he helped me. Why would he? Why would you do all this? Did you kill every woman in this temple? The outsider chuckled and said with amusement, I'm just going to sit in this chair and let you ladies talk amongst yourselves. Rose turned on Mother Azra. What have you done? Mother Azra looked from Rose to the outsider and back again, shaking her head slightly with eyes wide. I didn't know. How could I know? You let the devil in. Why? What bargain did you strike? Rose said, shaking with anger. I needed knowledge, Mother Azra said, her eyes welling up with tears. My son was afflicted and dying. How do you have a son? Asked Rose. Out of wedlock. Adultery. These things are illegal in this part of the world. So the father raised my child, she confessed, looking smaller than usual. He was troubled, so I tried to help him. The more I tried, the more disturbed he became. Eventually, he was terribly injured in one of his fires. One of his fires? So you knew he was an arsonist, Rose said in disbelief. Unbelievable. You can't understand. You're not a mother, Azra snapped at Rose. And what about being a mother to all these girls, Rose said, waving at the blood and death all around her. He was dying, Mother Azra could no longer hold back the tears. So you bound him to an immortal being, Rose stated. We found the jinn's jar on an expedition to Cappadocia. Philip led me there. I swear, I had no idea what he was. I only knew he was a scholar. I thought he was my friend. And what price did you pay for the outsider's knowledge? Nothing, she cried. Liar, yelled Rose. What did you do? If you're lucky, I'll simply execute you rather than letting Frank have you if he's still alive. The outsider chimed in. Oh, she paid a price, all right. So quick to do it with her son scorched beyond recognition, minutes from a morgue. She slit her own daughter's throats for me, and in return, I saved her son. Rose was seeing red. She raised her pistol and pointed it at Mother Azra's head. Mother, tell me this is a lie. Mother Azra dropped to her knees. I had no choice. Now Rose's eyes were rimmed with tears, but tears of rage. I said, tell me it's a lie, she yelled. It is no lie, child, Ezra said. No, Rose muttered. No, she screamed. We lined them up like little dolls, said the outsider, sleeping soundly after some tea laced with opium and barbiturates. The slip, slip, slip against their supple throats. Ah, what a transformative night, the outsider said wistfully. Mother Azra turned on the outsider in anger. But why burn them? Why humiliate them? Their deaths were painless. The outsider reached out his hands and stood up. I did it for you, my pupil. You have so much promise. To be given not one, but two of the great gifts. You are so lucky. He dropped his hands to his side and his face went cold. But your devotion to this archaic order holds you back. I will tear away these chains holding you back. I'll burn them like I burned their wilted bodies. Then you'll be free. You twisted bastard, Mother Ezra cried out. I no longer wish to be your pupil. You've committed a massacre. Not my first, and hopefully not my last, said the outsider, putting his hands in his pockets again. I denounce you. I'm stronger now. I no longer need you. Mother Ezra stood up as well. Stronger? Stronger than who? The Dark Man? His smile reappeared, jeering across his face. I have killed the Dark Man, Mother Ezra said defiantly. Oh, I very much doubt that, the outsider said. I haven't even figured out how to kill him yet. He's probably just in the gray realm, biding his time, playing with your son's soul and introducing him to the denizens of the deep. Liar! I saved my son from that fate. He may be dead, but his soul will be at ease. You're the one lying, at least to yourself. I suppose it doesn't really matter, though. Nothing you do can change your situation. The outsider spoke with a fake taunting frown, pushing his lower lip out in a pantomime pout. The taunts were stirring Mother Azra, bringing the fire back to her eyes and more. I will fight against you then. Kill you as well. The outsider softly chuckled. My, aren't we drunk on our own power? You need me much more than I need you. I teach you out of charity, but perhaps my kindness makes you forget your place. My place is to protect the Lagos stone, so that it can sit like a plug in a bathtub like you believe, chided the outsider. Oh, that's right, I never told you what the stone is. It wasn't made to seal a gate, it was made to be a prison. Mother Azra shook her head. What? No. It is a sacred, the outsider interrupted. All your books you've read and you can't see it. The centuries-old lie. It shows how weak your gifts are that you can't even feel it. Rose looked from Azra to the outsider and back again. I can't believe what I'm hearing. I trusted you, Mother Azra. Mother Azra ignored Rose, her anger focused on the outsider. Why should I believe anything you say? You've twisted our arrangement, broken your promises. I have done no such thing. I promised I'd teach you the dark way. Everything that has happened tonight has been for your benefit, my child. But this stone is for me. After I feed on the Afrit's power within, I'll share it with you, of course. But it will give me some of what I lack in order to achieve my goals. Rose eyed the outsider. What's inside the stone? The outsider smiled at Rose again. Why, the Jinn Kings, my dear, the mighty Iblis, all 7 of them. Impossible, Mother Azra shouted back. The Stone Brothers killed all the Jinn except the one we found. Killed? Oh, no. The Stone Brothers allied themselves with Salahuddin and the Ottoman Turks to trap the Jinn in the Grey Realm, but the Iblis were too strong for even the Stone Warriors, even too strong for Thomas. So they used a mix of the dark gift and stone magic to bind the Jinn Kings in this stone. They destroyed all records of this and told the novices a different story. But the Turks turned on them once the Jinn were gone, killed them all and threw Thomas into that hole. No wonder he went mad. Centuries alone with no other voices but those of the Jinn he trapped, those who hated him. It's cruel that the dark gift allowed him to live so long in torment, but he served a dark and vengeful god, and betraying the Zahaka was a foolish choice. One does not betray the first god and expect to be forgiven. So that's the secret Frank's been dancing around this whole time. He knew. He was trying to tell us, Rose said in realization. Of course he knew. We both learned the stone histories back in the Golden City. He could probably hear the Jinn Kings who still rage inside. And according to these inscriptions, I think, I finally know how to crack this puzzle. You wouldn't dare, Mother Azra said. It's already too late, replied the outsider. The whole temple rumbled, and a massive crack appeared in the stone, shattering the air with a sound like a grenade going off. Ah, the first crack! Ooh, that was a strong one. Like the first contraction of a woman giving birth. The outsider beamed. Sister, stand at attention! Raise your weapons! Yelled Mother Azra. The outsider's face went cold again. I think not, he said, raising his hand. The three sisters that had lifted their rifles' voices screamed out in pain as their bones snapped and twisted. They crumpled and fell to the ground lifelessly. What have you done? Rose roared. Monster! Sister Harmony dropped her rifle to the floor. Sisters! Sisters! No! Rose called out to her. Sister Harmony, come here! Don't take your eyes off of him! Oh, I only killed those who raised their weapons, said the outsider. I'm a good sport after all. Though this last one's thoughts are so conflicted and confused. He looked upon Sister Harmony and licked his lips. I suppose you could say she's been in shock this whole time. The panic in her mind that started as a whisper when she saw my macabre sculpture in town has now taken over. She's slipping away with all the revelations being like a waking nightmare, the outsider said in mock compassion. Rose took a step towards her. Sister Harmony, come by me. I'll protect you. Come here and take my hand. I should help, I think, said the outsider. There was a hissing sound like something removed some air from the room. In the blink of an eye, the outsider was standing behind Sister Harmony, having abandoned his perch on the Lago stone. Rose raised her weapon instantly. Jesus, he's fast, she said with surprise. No, you're just all very slow, the outsider said as he placed his left hand on Harmony's shoulder, looking at Rose. Rose threatened, You leave Harmony alone or I'll... There was a flash of metal and a deep red cut appeared in Harmony's neck. Oops, too late, the outsider said with a satisfied smile, taking a few steps backwards with the bloody knife in his hand. Sister Harmony fell to her knees, grasping her throat, trying to speak. No! You slit her throat, you goddamn monster! Rose rushed to Harmony's side, crying out her name. Harmony! Rose tried to stop the bleeding. Harmony! Harmony! Oh, God! Sister Harmony looked up into Rose's eyes in a panic as she coughed and choked. Rose shook her head. No, don't try to talk. Shit! I can't stop the bleeding. Hang on, sister. Oh, no, she's not breathing. She's... Rose looked at Harmony in pain as Harmony's brown eyes lost focus and glassed over. No, 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 Rose said, fighting back tears. The outsider took a few steps and leaned over, feigning concern. It's no use. She's quite dead. Can't you feel her body going limp in your arms? The eternal sleep weighing her corpse down? Rose looked up at the outsider in rage. Oh, I will end you, she said, dropping the lifeless body and rising to her feet. She reached out to grab the outsider, but he nimbly skipped backwards with his hands in his pocket. Come here and I'll tear your head clean off, Rose roared in bloodlust. You might be able to dodge bullets, but I can kill you with my bare hands. She threw strikes one after the other, a straight punch, a jab, a roundhouse kick, all with lethal strength and deadly accuracy, but the outsider just smiled as he flitted around the room with his hands in his pockets like he was dancing. Rose pulled a knife from her belt and swung it at his neck. He momentarily disappeared. She stopped and listened, coiled like a snake. The outsider's voice came from behind her. Could you be any slower? Rose's gun practically flew out of her holster as she fired 2 shots at the outsider's head. His image flickered and the bullets hit the wall behind him. No, 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 missed me again. Do try harder. I'm practically holding still. He pulled his hands out of his pockets, unfolding his knife again. Let's see how you fight without. He started to say, but there was a low, bassy, buzzing sound. Rose looked around in confusion as the world started to run like wet ink for her. What the hell, she said, and then let out a startled ah! As she fell through the floor and disappeared. The outsider cocked his head to the side like a surprised dog. Oh my, that was unexpected. Frankie just pulled her into the gray realm. I suppose that would be safer than letting her try to fight me, but still, what a dangerous choice. He relaxed and calmly folded his knife and slipped it back into his pocket. He looked at Mother Azra with cold disdain. She stood frozen. And now, do you mean to murder me too? She said in a faint voice. The disdain disappeared like he put on a smiling mask. Oh no, I have plans for you, my apprentice. Such sights I have to show you, things that might make you claw your own eyes out, but only if you are weak. If you can bear the weight, I will show you wonders. With the outsider finally stepping out of the shadows, what will become of Rose in the Grey Realm? Will the outsider let loose a procession of ancient demons in Istanbul? And will this madness grip the world in terror? Find out on the next episode of The Dark Man.